Guys, welcome back to the channel. Now this video is going to jump us back into the FRS build. If you haven't really been watching, I did post last video kind of the whole walk around of the project of the LS swapped FRS. That is going to be our 2025 drift car. Quick overview front to back. 6.0 LS AR5 transmission. We are going to be running stock rear diff and axles for now until we find the limit of those. We did lower it, so what we're going to do today is get rid of the bond. So we have the GK Tech V3 angle kit, GK Tech tie rods. We have the Faction Fab V2 coilovers. What we're going to do is an RSX from Acura sway bar end link mod. So let me pop this tire off and I'll go a little more in depth about what we're going to be doing. All right guys, so now we're down here with the front suspension. So we have our sway bar coming across, and the factory setup will go from the sway bar up into the coilover. Now these Faction Fab coilovers did come with adjustable sway bar end links, but the problem is once you create more angle, you end up with sway bar end link bond that kind of bonds up everything. But what we're going to be doing is I picked up these Moog, I think that's how you say it, M-O-O-G, sway bar end links from the rear. It has to be the rear of an Acura RSX Type S. And what that is going to do is going to go into the top of the sway bar, and it is going to allow us to drill into the lower control arm and mount our sway bar end links directly to the lower control arm. And that will get rid of any chance of it bonding as the wheel is turning back and forth. So let me get everything that I'm going to need, and then we'll get to installing these. All right guys, so these sway bar end links are pretty much at a 90-degree angle from each other. So pop the sway bar up, stick that through, and go ahead and just snug up the top. So that will kind of let us know where on the lower control arm we're going to need to drill. So we'll want this pretty much centered up in here. So we'll need to come down from about this area into about right here, and that is where we're going to drill our hole. So in this case, these sway bar end link nuts are a 17 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and snug the back of this down. So I've got this pretty much squared up with the lower control arm. So we're going to try to keep this about as vertically as we can, and this about as perpendicular to the lower control arm as we can. So I'm going to come right down middle of the control arm, drill my hole, and mount this in the lower control arm. If you have a right angle drill, it makes this so much easier just because of the limited space in here. But I do have the pilot hole drilled, like I said, so we're going to step up to a bit that's just a touch bigger than our end link and get our regular hole drilled, and then we'll bolt this thing up. All right, so after drilling the pilot hole, we kind of had to work our way up, but we ended up with a 3/8 drill bit, and that was the final hole, and it allowed it to slide right into the lower control arm. So all we have to do is come under here, slap a nut on the end of it, and that will complete this side. All right guys, so while we're down here, I'm going to go ahead and raise this ride height up a little bit, because like I said, it's pretty daggone low, and by the time this thing sets down on, especially with this heavy iron block, it's going to throw my wheel up into the fender well. So I'm going to try to raise this probably about an inch, and then go from there when we get it on the ground, and then we'll readjust it. So what we're going to do, unlock this lower lock ring. We're going to take our spanner on this one and go counterclockwise until we raise this about an inch, or leave an inch of this about hanging out, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, when we get the car on the ground and actually can see what it's looking like, we'll adjust each side from there. So we got this side wrapped up. Like I said, left a little bit more than an inch, but got everything locked back down. Made sure those were snug. I did put a little bit of Loctite on those just to be sure, just because that is going to be moving a lot. Not sure if I was supposed to, but I figure if it's spinning, it needs to be Loctite. So I'm going to adjust this toe while I'm down here. It is towed out really bad, so I'm going to get my wheel straight. I've already got the rack centered. I just need to correct the toe a little bit, and that should line out this side. I haven't done the other side yet. Other side's going to be exactly the same, so I'm not going to show that. So I'm probably just going to end this here. It's going to be a shorter video, but an important one if you're wanting to try to retain your front sway bar and get rid of bond when you're turning, especially with an angle kit. So if you like this video, if it was helpful at all, hit that big thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys on the next video.